That's what we'll be discussing today. ClickUp. So we'll be taking the next 5 minutes to just look at the basic things, then we'll move into practice. I believe we are all open an account on ClickUp. So if you have not yet done that, we'll be doing that together here. It's easy, simple, and straightforward. Okay. So ClickUp is an all-in-one project management and productive platform where it is used for task management, project planning, team collaboration, reporting, and tracking. Now, ClickUp has what is called an hierarchy. Now, the hierarchy is a 5-level hierarchy. The first one is the workspace, which represents your whole account. So the workspace is the highest level in ClickUp, and it represents the overall account. When you open an account on ClickUp, that account becomes your workspace. Next, we have the space. Now, the space helps us to organize our teams and departments, right? Our teams and departments. Then we have the folder. Now, the folder is the projects that we are working on, right? Then we have our list. Our list are our faces. Our list are faces or categories which we are working on. Then we have the tax. Now, the tax is the actual work or items or individual actions or activity that we plan to execute. Then below it, we have the subtasks. The subtasks are, for example, when we have some tasks that had to be broken down into smaller, manageable, actionable plans or actionable uh, steps. That is our subtask. So we'll be looking at it together. But it is very, very important we understand this hierarchy so that it will guide us properly. So in ClickUp, we have the sidebar, we have our search button, we have our main task view, we have our home inbox, we have our notification, and we have our toolbar. Now let us just go ahead and create a sample. Okay. Now this is how ClickUp looks like. Please, if you can see my screen clearly, can you just put up an emoji? Let me be sure my screen is visible to all. Thank you, Mustafa. I guess it's not only Mustafa that can see my screen clearly. Okay, thank you, Suleiman. Thank you. So I think I can move on with the class. Okay. So let's begin from the list step. This class, we'll be taking 2 classes for ClickUp. I believe we'll continue on Monday. But the major thing we'll be talking about on Monday is automation. Hopefully we'll do that but let's just take the basic one. Suleiman, are you asking a question? Your hands is still up. Is it that you are asking a question? Okay, Motura, sorry, this is your first class. You need to go back to the previous class and go through some of the videos so that you can catch up with us by Monday. But today is a practical class. I believe you can just follow up. So what we are learning today, we are learning one of the project management tools, one of them, which is called ClickUp. And we are trying to see how we can create a project on it and build on it. So let's begin. When you open ClickUp, you may not have all this on your screen. So let me go ahead and create a new works. So I'm creating a new workspace. Now I'll be asked some questions. Please just answer to the best of your knowledge. Okay, please can 2 or 3 people share me their email address on the comment section so that I can also invite you to collaborate with me. Ebechuku, thank you for joining. This is your first class also. Thank you. Please, if you have, okay, I'll be using this email address. I'll just be inviting you to be part of. What's happening is saying, can I get another? I guess I mistakenly closed the page. Let me restore the window back. Thank you. I think I guess I have enough. Guess I have enough for the class. Okay, so while it's still opening, I need to explain some items. One of the key terms I need to explain is status. So most times, typically, task status is to do, in progress, review, and complete. But most times, it's always 3: to do, in progress, and completed. But we can add review, we can add backlog to it just to give a better view. Now in ClickUp, we have what is called views. Now we have the list view, we have the calendar view. Now the list view is a default workflow view where we see all the task structure in a list format. They list them from the first task to the last task. The calendar view is where we see the deadline. We see all tasks in calendar view. We have the board view, which is the Kanban view. It's always to do, in progress, completed. That is our status, task status. Then we have the timeline or the Gantt chart view. This is where we can see timelines, we can see the dependencies, and we can see schedules and sequence of work. I guess it will have opened by now. Let me go back and apologies. I don't know why it's closing. Let me open it here. So while I'm waiting for this to open, I want us to look at please hold on. I want us to look at some common mistake we make. One of them is over customizing too early. We want to make it complex. Please, if this is your first time of using ClickUp, start with simple projects, simple, straightforward projects. If it's even possible, you can start with the waterfall methodology projects, right? Now, two is creating, rewriting the wheels. There are always templates where we can use on ClickUp. You don't need to recreate those templates. You can just go pick some of the templates and use them. Number three, which is clear tax name. Let us name our tax clearly, because sometimes the way we name our tax will not be easier for us to find and check all over. Okay, I guess we are there. I'm creating a new workspace. Create workspace. We ask some of these questions. We can just, so for the email address, I have this. Just skip this. You can skip this. Then for the workspace name, then now what we have done is we have created a new workspace. Remember I said our workspace is creating a new account. We have created a new workspace here. Now let's move to the next stage, which is to create our space. Now, if you look at what we have on our screen, this is a new workspace. Now we have the sidebar, we have the top bar, we have our search button, then we have our tax view, which is the middle of our, then we have our home, we have our favorite. Now our favorite is, if there is a page that I always visit, I can add it to my favorite. We have our space, and we have uh, our team members, right? Now we are creating a new space. How do we create a new space? We come to where we have space, we click the add button and create a new space. Now we are going to have a dialog box. Let's take an example that we are creating a project for the simplest one. We are creating a project for a web development for a website. Now we can say the IT team. Now we can say space for IT team, right? Now we click continue. Now that we have clicked continue, to make it easier, we can just start with the starter template. Then we move to default views. Now I explained that we have different kind of view. Let's assume we want to add 2 more views to what we have. We have our Gantt chart and we have our table view, right? Then let's move back to go back a page. Now we come to our task status. Now what we have already is to do, in progress, and complete. Let's assume we are adding a task to this, which is review. Review, so that everything must go through a review process before we continue. Now, by so doing this, we can now create our space. We can create our space. Now, you just notice that we have created a space, and if we click the triangle beside the space, you see there's a list. There's a list that has been created default for us. Now, just as I said earlier, lists are collection of related tasks. They can be phases of our project. Now, before our list, we need to create a folder. Now, this is the IT team. They can have web development, they can have app development, they can have system upgrade. These are different projects. Now, for us, we can now create a folder. How do we go about creating a folder? We come to our IT team, which is our department. There's a three button beside it. We click on it and we create folder. We create a folder. We create a folder. Now, in this folder, that's where we will now create the project that they are working on, which is, let's say websites. Website development. We can just, now the status, use space status. So it's picking the status we have: to do, in progress, review, and complete. And we have created our folder. So we can see we have a folder already. We have a folder already, and the folder is web development. So IT team can have web development as a project. They can have app development as a project. They can have system upgrade as a project, and so many projects under the IT team. Now we have created our folder for web development. Now, after the folder, based on our hierarchy, we have our lists. We have our lists. Now, we are going to create, if you look, we have a default list that has been created for us inside. Now, let's rename this list. Let's rename this list. How do we rename the list? We click on the three icons, then we move to rename. Now, let's rename this as planning. Let's rename it as planning, right? Now, one thing I do so that I will know which comes first, I always add numbers at the beginning. That's what I do. I always add numbers at the beginning. 0, 1, planning. Now, after creating this list, the next thing I need to do is I need to customize my list page. I need to customize my list page. If you notice what we have the name, we have the assignee, we have the due date, and we have the priority. Now, let me create it based on what is more important to me at the. I have my name, I have my assignee, I have my start date, my status, and my percentage completed based on each task. In what I do is one, I move to the right of my page where I have the plus sign inside the circle, and I click on add a column. Now I type my column. The first column I want to add is the start date. So I toggle it on, I close. So I already have my start date. So let me move my start date to before the assignee. Then I have my start date, I have my due date. Next I want is my status. Status, I add status. Then I don't need priority for now, or let me say let me add the priority. Then I need another column which is called progress. Please, I need us to listen. I need us to look at this. Now, when I pick progress, I have three. I have the progress update, the progress auto, and the progress manual. So let me start from the first one. Let me pick progress manual, and I call it, I title it percent completed. So if you look, the value start value is 0 and end value is 100. So let me add that to what I have. Please, are we following? Is anyone miss? Anyone lost? You can ask your question if you are lost. Any question thus far? Should I continue?
Please
I'm not hearing.
continue, sir. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. Now, the next thing I want to do, you remember, let's assume we are having 4 phases. The first phase is the planning. The second phase is, let's say 3 phases. The first phase is planning. What happened? Sorry, let me reshare my screen. So the first phase, let's assume the first phase is planning, the second phase is building, and the third phase is review. Okay, planning, building, review, and launch. And I want to maintain this same process. I want to maintain what I have. Now, instead of me creating this all over again for every phase, what I can just do is to save this as a template. How do I go about that? I click on the 3 button for my list. Then I select templates. I browse save as templates. Save as templates. Now I will need to give it a name. I'll need to give it a name. Let me give it web dev templates. Then I will save it. Now my template is created already. Now let's assume I want to create another list now. I want to create another list. All I need to do is to go back to my folder, click on the three button, select template, click on browse templates. Then I can see my template here. Web dev templates. I select it, use templates. Now the list name will now be maybe building the web page or website. Now, where should this list be created? Under IT team, under the folder web development. Now, I use the templates. Now you notice, just hold on. You will notice when I click on my build the website, it has almost the same view list. It has almost the same list view just as planning. So that is how we can save and reuse templates over and over again. And this will save us time. So let's move to the next one, which is, now we have created our workspace, we have created our space, we have created our folder, we have created list. Now let's create tags. So on the planning, right, we want to create tags on the planning. So we want to create tags on our planning phase again. So how do I go about creating this task? So I just need some people to just unmute and give us some tasks you feel we should do while building a website. Maybe 2, 3, or 4. So this will be easier. I come to my planning, then you see where I have the add tags. The add tags, I click on it, then maybe the first, let's give it requirements gathering. Now, I know we will also add others, but let's just hold on. Let me save it. Then I click on this or I press my enter key. So automatically I have created the first task, which is requirement gathering. If you notice, there is nothing there. It's just almost blank. Can someone give us another task under planning for web development? Can I get another task? You can unmute. You can unmute so that we can hear you. Please, we need to contribute. It's a class. Anyone? Okay. So we can add another task by calling it team mobilization. We can say planning the first team meeting, and so on and so forth. Now, remember I said even under our tax, we also have what is called subtax. Now, subtax, let's assume requirements gathering. Let's assume we have two subtax under requirement gathering: conducting a survey, analyzing the survey results. So let's assume those are the two things that we have under requirement gathering. Now, how do we go about adding this subtax to our tax? Now, we've just moved our cursor to where we have the list, the tax that we want to add subtax to it. We will have a triangle. Now, when we click on it, it gives us a subtax. It creates a subtax for us.
I'm not in your screen, or is it only me?
This creates a subtax for us.
I'm not in your screen.
So this creates a subtax for us, and we can give it the name. We can give it the two names, which is survey conducted, then survey results, reviewed. Now we have created these two subtags, and if you look at what we have under requirements gathering, we can see we have like a number 2 added to it. Now let's assume we want to add our team members based on who we want to assign. Let's assume I assign myself to the first task, assign the next person to the second, continuously like that. Now, one of the fastest way I go around by I go about adding these dependencies to my task is the first thing I need to do is I pick the first task. For example, requirement gathering. Let's assume I start requirement gathering on the 1st of March and to sorry started requirement gathering on the 2nd of March. Sorry, first is on Sunday, 2nd of March to the 6th of March, right? Now, this I have assigned. Now, imagine I have up to like 20 or 30 under just this phase. How do I go about assigning each of them individually? It will take me a lot of time, but let me show us a shortcut where we can use to assign this on the go. That's one. Number two, let's assume we are adding a milestone on this space. Let's call it MS planning completed. Now, when we come to the task, we click on it and we change it to milestone. We save. Let's go and see the shortcuts or the fastest way I use to create the dependencies, the start tag, the start date, and the end date. And this is done through our Gantt chart. So all I need to do is to go back to my folder web development. I click on my folder web development and I select Gantt, which is our Gantt chart. Select Gantt, which is the Gantt chart. Now, this is how a Gantt chart look like. But if we look at it, already the first task has already been created on our Gantt chart. That is this green. You can see it is planning and it is 0% done, right? Now, the next thing I need to do is let me reduce this so that we can have a larger view of it. This I have my requirements gathering, and in this requirement gathering, I have two subtasks. The first is survey conducted, and the second is survey result review. Now, for me to add the start and the end, the start date and the end date for team mobilization, assuming we are not working on Saturdays, assuming we are not working weekend. So let me just take out this weekend. Let me remove this weekend so it will not get us confused. Assuming we are not working, all I need to do is I come to my team mobilization. Team mobilization will take 2 days. Click on the first day. It will create like a short schedule task for me. Then I expand it based on the number of days my task is going to hold. Now I've done for team mobilization. Now I want to add my dependencies. Now dependencies means, so I think we have 4 or 5 types of dependencies. We have the start to finish, we have the finish to start, we have the finish to finish, and we have start to start. Now this is simple. Let me explain it in simpler terms. To finish means the previous start must start, finish before another task begins. So let's assume we are using that what we have. We need to first get our requirement gathering, look at the survey conduct, conduct the survey, and we review the result of the survey. Now, how do I create a dependencies between requirement gathering and team mobilization? First way is I take my cursor to the requirement gathering task. There's a small node on the right of it. I click on it once. Then there's another small node on the second task I want to create a dependency for. So I click on this, then I drag, then I have this dotted line. By doing this, I have created a dependency. Let me do it again. Let's assume planning our first meeting takes me 2 days. Planning our first meeting takes me 2 days. So I come to the planning our first meeting, I click on it, then I drag. Now I click on the node for, I need to mobilize the team first before I plan the first meeting. I click on the node, then I drag. It is not all the time that a task must finish before another task begin. That's why I said we have like 4 or 5 types of dependencies. So depending on the one you intend to use for that class. Please, are we following? Any confusion? Is there anything you want me to review again before we continue? Any question?
Question for now.
Red note on it, meaning this, when we get to this stage, we have finished our milestone. Now, another thing we can do is, let me go back to our view. So this is how the Gantt chart look like. Now, but if you notice, overall web development timeline is increasing because we are adding more tasks to it. Now, this is an easy way and a faster way of adding the start time and the end time to a task. Let's look at the other way, which has always been, we have always used. So we'll go back to our lists. We'll go back to our list. Now we have the planning. Let's move to the order. The order is building a building the website. So let's add some tags. The UI UX design. We have the wireframe approval. We have the website building period. We have let's assume we have our milestone, and our milestone is going to be let's assume we have our website review, or website live review. Then our milestone is going to be website approval. Due to our milestone. Now we can move from here by adding or inviting more people. For example, if we invite, let me pick someone else's email. Now we have added one more person to our team. Wireframe approval. So it's not just one person. We can add more than one person to a task. We have the website building period. Assume 3 of us are going for the website review, and let's see, add someone else. Let's assume this is the CEO of the organization, and what this person is going to do is just this person is going to approve it. Now, for everybody have used their email address, I expect you have gotten a notification. Please, we can check our mails to see if we got any notification. The the proper way is to start from here and pick our date. But we can see that, if I start from this part and pick our date, let's assume the user testing is starting on the 15th, user design starting on the starts on the 9th. And we're giving him maybe this. Film approval is just 1 day. Let's assume on the 12th or on the 13th Friday we approve. Priority is the priority. Is it high? We can set our priority. Is it urgent? Is it high? Is it normal? Is it low? So depending on our priority. Now, if this person increase it this way, maybe he has done 50% of the tax. Let's assume we are done with the first phase of all our tasks, the requirement gathering. We have done our requirement gathering. We have team mobilization, 50%. Planning the first phase, we have done that. Our MS project is, let's say, 90%. Now let's go back and see how it looks on our Gantt charts. Let's go back to our Gantt chart and see how it looks. So we can see most of them are already. Now let's create our dependencies on this. Now our dependencies, as I said earlier, must not be. Now let's assume we have let's just assume we have our website building period to be for 5 days. End date is going to be for 5 days. Our approval for 1 day, our live preview for 1 day, and our approval for 1 day. Now we can, if these dependencies, we can say both dependencies, both tags have the same dependency. So these two tags, live preview and website approval, they are dependent on period of building the website. If the period is not completed before this on the 20th, we cannot have a live preview and we cannot have a an approval. Now this, what I'm trying to explain is sometimes so many things can be depending on one task. So many tasks can be depending on one task. So it's not most times that it is one task depending on another. So many tasks can be depending on one task. Oh, our time. So I believe we can just put a pause here and we'll complete on Monday with adding more things to it and automation. Any question based on what we have done today? This is how it looks on our table. Our table view, this is how our table view looks like. This is how our table view looks like. And this is how our board view look like. Now, if, for example, this is in progress, let's assume requirement gathering is in review, team mobilization in progress, is in progress. So those people who were added to this workspace, you can also try to move some of these tasks from one phase to the other so that we can see how it looks like on the board. Any question? Any question?
Sorry, sir, there's no question. I'll be expecting follow up much more network stuff. So I didn't actually get much questions to give you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have anyone with a question? So we'll be completing this practical class by looking at automation. Completing it by looking at automation on Monday. But we're building on this so that we can have a good ride when we are discussing automation. If there's no
Okay.
question, I guess I can hand over.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Kande. If you don't have question, that means we believe that you have understood it, and we'll also drop the recorded